If there is a professional who's watching this podcast, what would you tell them? Spend the time with family and ignore career, or focus on career?
I have made my family part of my professional career. So my son is part of my professional career is what I feel. They are part of the board of directors. When I am finding it difficult, I have to travel for profession. My family board of directors, they say go for it. They become my support system. Asking for help is what I realized is the mantra. So it is more of a superpower being adaptabilities.
What is that thing which actually motivates you the most, and how do you ensure that your team is also motivated?
The way I motivate my team is to keep reminding them that they are the CEO of their own brand, and that's how I believe of myself. I think I'm the CEO of my own brand. I'm the CEO of Jayashree and Co.
What are the skill sets students should incorporate to get into this, and which qualification would you recommend them?
CA, CPA, that gives you a foundation. Those courses are gems. When you look at any of these professions, they are looking at how to analyze the financial statements. Understanding the financial statements, understanding the accounting, bare accounting, becomes the foundational step to build upon any of these profiles. Anybody who is doing a CPA, who is doing a CA, is anyway going to have an automatic edge in all these profiles.
Do you have any regrets that being an MD now of State Street?
I do have regrets.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Brains Behind Billions podcast, and I'm your host Sripal Jain. So today we finally have one of the female leaders on our podcast. She's our first female leader. Her name is Jayashree, and she's the managing director of State Street with over 28 years of experience across investment banking, with a special focus on M&A, investment banking, analytics, and whatnot. She have worked in different companies like Infosys, PwC, Fulcrum, Citibank, and whatnot. So thank you so much, Jayashree ma'am, for coming on our podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on this podcast. Thank you so much.
I'm totally excited to be here, Sripal, and thank you so much for inviting me and having me here, right? And special thanks to Simandhar Education for running these series of podcasts to create more awareness for the students and several finance professionals out there who might benefit from. I'm hoping that they would benefit from these conversations that we are having today.
So Jayashree ma'am, I know there's a tremendous experience which you have. So how did this journey unfold? Like, why did you select commerce as your profession? Because there are so many people, like in the past also I've interviewed so many of the folks, the leadership team, and there's a good inclination towards the commerce field. So what tempted you to select the accounting field?
It's an interesting question, Sripal. So, just a little bit more about my background, right? My family background. So, I come from a family of 3 sisters and no brothers. So, and my parents are from the science field. Both of them were working all throughout, raised in Bombay. My father was a computer professional back then, right? So he started with huge mainframe computers and so on. He was working with Glaxo and my mother with LIC. Both of them very much involved in the computers, and my father science and so on. But having said that, he felt always that the area where there would be a lot of potential is finance, right? And that is something which he built somehow subconsciously. He built it in our minds, all 3 sisters, early on. So the influence that I had from him was at a very, very early age, right? Where I have seen him spending hours together on Saturdays, Sundays, going through these newspapers, looking at Dalal Street, looking at which stocks to invest, where to invest, how, and so on and so forth. Mind you, it was in the paper world, right? No digitized information, no internet, nothing. And then what he would do is on Saturdays, select Saturdays, he would take us to the exchange, the 3 of us, right? 3 little girls. And we had a good tour to the exchange, stock exchange, and we would see all the hustle bustle, the bidding process and everything, the public outcry. That was something very new for us, right? And so he used to take take us there, and then after that, it was a ritual that he would take us to a restaurant where we would have faluda and come back home. So it it was, I would say, it was subconsciously ingrained in our minds that finance is the way to go. And then as I grew up, of course, computers became really exciting subject as far as college was concerned, scoring. So I started to take a liking towards computers. Both my sisters enrolled into chartered accountancy. That was a field that
All
they
the
took
three are
on.
chartered accountants?
All three.
Wow. So actually, you should ask a question. All three chartered accountants. So how is it possible?
so my father I think influenced my first sister and said, like, chartered accountancy is the way to go. She went ahead listening to my father, being the first child. Second sister followed suit, and then I was like a little reluctant, and I saw both of them really slogging their way through the chartered accountancy exams, and I said, oh, this is not what I want to do. I want to do computers. I want to really code. I want to make robos and so on and so forth. So that is exactly what I wanted to do. But as fate has it, I finally decided to toe in line and follow the footsteps of my sisters. And my father kept saying that this is the best thing that you're doing. This is the best thing that you're doing. That's the right thing to do, because computers, great. But if you want to build a profession, finance is the place to be for the next 20 years. And if I look at my life now, I feel he was damn right. I did the right thing, right? So that's my story. It was a reluctant finance entrant, and no no ways I'm going to look back.
I mean, this is one of the fantastic answers among all of them what we had on the podcast. It's the three chartered accountants and sisters, all the three. So it feels really special to kind of have such people on our podcast as well. And now that you became a chartered accountant and all, and how did all this started off, like going into a Big Four? Because for a lot of them, Big Four is a dream. And I understand that your first company was PwC, which is PricewaterhouseCoopers. For audience who all don't know about Big Four, there are top four audit firms in the world: Deloitte, Ernst& Young, KPMG, and PwC. So how PwC came into the play and what prompted you to join?
That's again an interesting story, right? Because when I finished my 12th is when, and in those days there was something called CA Foundation course, and I did take my CA Foundation course when all my friends were enjoying the vacation. I said, okay, my father said, no, you have to take an Edge and so on and so forth. So I went ahead and I cleared the CA Foundation exam. Mind you, that was exactly the time when I was more tempted to get into the computers line, right? So when I took the CA Foundation and I did clear it, the whole trend was that very few people do clear those exams, right? And then you start your articleship immediately. That was when I did it, right? So you start your articleship immediately and alongside go for your classes in college. I went, but if I have to do that, it was not the Big Four, because the Big Four would not entertain and would not give us opportunities if you are not going to be working 8 hours a day, and they would not really want you to go and attend your college during the day. So the only option was to go to the small articleship firms and apply there and try to say that, okay, we will just come attend, say 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day for work, and then the rest of the day I have to attend college classes and so on and so forth. Now, I did go together with my mom for interviews in a couple of places, and then I realized that that's not probably what I want to do. If I have invested in the CA Foundation course, and if I am going to invest my time in articleship, devoting just 1 hour a day will not really suffice. And at the same time, not attending college will not help. So we took a conscious decision back then as a family. We came together, a board meeting of sorts at home. And we all decided and we said, okay, fine, what do we do? And then we said, okay, let's wait. So we waited and waited till I finished my third year exams, and during my third year, before my third year graduation exams, we started applying to the big fours. I started applying to the big fours. I got selected in a couple of them, Ferguson and AF Ferguson and
That
Pricewaterhouse.
time it was Deloitte, right? I mean, Deloitte
Deloitte
acquired
was,
Ferguson.
yeah. So then Pricewaterhouse is what I chose because my sister was working in AF Ferguson back then. So we said we don't want to be in the same company, right? So diversification, totally.
Portfolio management from that time only.
Yes. So I joined Pricewaterhouse back then, and so the day after my third year exam, the next day I joined PwC. So that's how my journey to getting into PwC.
And how was the journey like? So you started off from PwC, then you moved on to Citi. And then how was this entire journey of different companies? Would you elaborate? Like, what was the experience in each company?
Pricewaterhouse was a very interesting thing for me, right? And I'm sure, Sripal, for you also, like the first job is very, very different, right? And it holds a special place in your heart. Now, for me, Pricewaterhouse was a huge graduation in my own personal mindset, in my personality itself. The reason I say that is because I was brought up in a very progressive way with my parents and so on. But having said that, I was extremely shy. I had a lot of friends and so on, but a small group that I would really, in a very protected environment and so on and so forth. So I was a shy personality. I wouldn't say introvert, but really would not go and socialize as much. Now, when I joined Pricewaterhouse, the expectation is that you go audit different companies. So you go speak to different companies, the head of the CFO of those companies, the factory heads, who are all biggies in whatever they do, experienced folks, and then go and try to speak to them and get work done from them, have your authority, have your command, socialize with them in such a way that you can get the information, right information for your audit, and so on and so forth. Now, that was a big change for me, right? So that was when I broke my first huge mental block of social apprehension, I would say. And that was my biggest learning. And
So audit made you feel more extrovert than introvert? How was
it
it?
made me break my social barriers, right? It helped me shatter them and helped me build my confidence to say that, okay, I can speak to anybody anytime, right? So which is not something which I had done even during my college days. So for me, it was a big barrier, big learning that PwC really helped me with. And the second big thing I would say is the number of hours that PwC expected to be put in this thing. Not just PwC, any consulting firm is huge. And at times the audit requirements and assignments are such that you have to really work through the night. So now I'm a fresh graduate. I've just started work, a girl at it, coming home at the same time as the milkman in the morning, right? And then everybody raises eyebrows in the building. I stay in a building, a middle class, and then everybody raises eyebrows. People talk to my mom and say, they're like, hey, you know what, your daughter is coming so late. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you worried? And so on and so forth. Now, that was when my parents created that kind of a comfort environment, so to speak, to say that as long as you know what you're doing, as long as we know what you're doing, we support you wholeheartedly. And they also gave me the confidence to say that just be you, just be yourself, right? So that was my second biggest learning, Shripal. That is that I carry till date, right? Just to be my authentic self and be confident in my authentic self. I think has gone a long way for me personally, over and above all the domain knowledge that I have inherited. Now, to your question, I know I went
No,
Much
that's a good
beyond,
thing.
but I thought it is important for me to just share this experience, right? Now I spend about a few years in audit, and then I realized that okay, I want to join the industry, right? I want to join a company, and go to the other side of the table. And that is when I decided to explore mergers and acquisitions with Citi. I got an opportunity there, very interesting opportunity, because uh, at that time mergers and acquisitions team was usually the people who were being hired were only MBAs from Ivy League, and chartered accountants were not really looked at. I had finished my chartered accountancy, of course, and then I got this break, and I was excited about it. Mergers and acquisitions, I have learned all about it during my CA curriculum, all academics, theory, and I used to love the modeling, financial modeling, and everything, right? Now, I went in thinking that, oh, I know it all. I know how financial models are. I know CAPM. I know cash flow. I know discounted cash flow. So I went there with huge amount of confidence. The the initial couple of weeks, they had a very intense training, which is when I understood how the real M&A world is run. And then after that, the journey was very interesting as well for me, because I learned how different theory was from practice, how financial modeling awareness and knowledge was only one portion or one fraction of the entire M&A game, whereas there are so many other elements to it, right, which brings together the decision, in terms of how do you evaluate different companies. It is not just by the DCF models alone. There are so many other parameters. What are the strategic fit? What are the other company nuances? What are the acquirers and the target companies bringing to the table? How do the how does the financing play out, and so on and so forth. So learning about how to apply the academic or theory knowledge into practice is what I learned in Citi. And then, of course, I moved on. I moved on to Infosys, where I set up their sell side fixed income research practice. Ran that for some time. Again, that was also nuanced for me, because fixed income different in India back then. Fixed income was new. Hiring talent for fixed income was new. And then doing a full sell side research for companies globally. It is not for Indian companies. So that was interesting as well. And then I moved on to join Butterfield Fulcrum, where again I got an opportunity to set up a risk platform for alternative investors. So that's when I moved from fixed income to alternative space, away from traditional asset class to alternative asset class. And then we spun off that unit from Fulcrum and started our own company with the CEO back then, and which was called Hedge. That is how I became part of the founding member, a founding team of Hedge, the startup, which got acquired by State Street. So that's my journey thus far.
We discussed about different skill sets and all, which you mentioned already, like CFA and all. But what about for the people who are like homemakers, right? Or the housewives who are watching this podcast? And you are aware about so many challenges when you deliver a baby, you have so many responsibilities and all. How do you kind of balance that across, right? So professional life is one thing. Like I have my wife Poonam, right? So she's a chartered accountant. She's managing the professional life and manages the kids as well. But what is one piece of advice would you want to give to the housewives, right, who want to get back to the work? Because as you said, remote is not working out for a lot of companies now, and that's a big setback. Because we had previously we promoted a lot of hybrid and all, but now the companies are shifting away. Don't you think that's a huge setback to the women professionals or the female professionals? And what is one piece of advice? How do they get themselves ready now and come out of this permanent work from home concept?
Sure. Um, I think I'll break it down into two parts, right? One is the homemakers part. Um, that's a huge challenge, societal challenge that we have still today, right? Where the woman is expected to take a break from work, from career, and to deliver, to take care of, to provide care for baby, to provide care for also the aged parents and in-laws as well, right? So the caregiving responsibility led breaks initially is expected of the woman, and it can take a little longer time. Now, is it avoidable? Is it not avoidable? It is up to an individual and individual's ecosystem to take that decision. But what I would urge the homemakers who want to continue their professional journey even after the break is to be clear about that, right? And keep themselves engaged during this period while they are at home, while they are giving that caregiving responsibility. Keep engaged with what's going on in the market. The same websites that we spoke about, keep engaged with the websites, look at the finances, say that I will take make the investing decisions for the family together with the husband or the spouse, and then try to see how they can really engage themselves with whichever domain they're selecting. It need not be investing, it could be anything, right? If they are in the accounting space, they can really keep abreast of what's going on in the accounting domain in terms of new accounting standards which are coming, what are the different opinions that are coming out, looking at the financial statements, evaluating that on a regular basis. So there's so much that you can do to keep yourself alive knowledge wise in the domain, right? So I think that's the most important thing, which will help the individual to come back into the profession. Say 3 years, 4 years, doesn't matter. After that point in time, right, it'll automatically create a self confidence. Most cases, it is a self-doubt that individuals, especially women, suffer from, where they feel that they cannot really, probably, are they falling short of the expectations? If they do this, they will not have that self-doubt, because they will say that, okay, I was all along in the game, right? So that's the first and foremost. Second thing is, when they are applying to a role, when they return back to work from a break, they have to understand that there would be expectations from them where they have to really go that extra mile to prove themselves, which is okay because you've come from a break. So the expectation would be for you to get back at par with your other colleagues who are both male as well as female colleagues in the organization. So there cannot be any differentiation from a corporate standpoint. So that extra mile is a mental preparedness that an individual should have, that when they come back, that's what would be expected of them. And it is okay to have a non-linear kind of a career path, right? To say that, okay, 4 years back, I was at this level. In the last 4 years, my peers from that batch have gone 5 notches above. So now when I'm coming, oh no, I am 3 notches below my peers. It's fine, because you, during this 4 years, did a very important work, which is at taking care and made a huge impact also. It is not just professional impact that matters, right? You made your personal impact, your impact for your family on a positive way. So you did a lot of work which advanced your profile automatically, right? Your wholesome profile. So that is how one has to look at it, and not really feel that comparison becomes an important thing. Everybody's journey is separate. Now, coming to your second question on how do we really balance professional life and work life. See, for me personally, I have not felt that pressure as much. The reason being not because there was no pressure. There was pressure. But I looked at it in different ways, right? First thing is, I don't really look at creating a work life balance because I don't feel there is anything called work life balance. So I don't have an identity which is Jayashree, the professional identity, Jayashree, the personal identity. I have a common identity which is just Jayashree, and who is a professional as well as a mother, as well as a daughter, sister, and a wife. So I try to see how I can really compartmentalize these roles in whichever time I am performing that role, right? So if I am sitting with my son, taking up his studies, I try to devote my time on weekends only for my son. Yes, there would be times when I have to also do some work stuff, which is where I create an understanding with my son or with my family, saying that I have to really do both. Similarly, on the work front, on weekdays, if I have to do something which is on the personal side, that flexibility is something which I can speak to my management and say that, okay, you know what, I have to spend these 5 hours because at home, because I need to give attention to my family and so on this particular day. As long as I am performing my duties, delivering to the expectations on both ends, nobody has to complain, right? There is nothing to complain. So I can really take that leverage of flexibility because at the end, outcome is all that matters.
Beautifully kept, and really love this answer. Do you have any regrets that being an MD now of State Street, somewhere you would have spent more time with your family, or like Sripal, I think I have achieved that and I have balanced it out. What do you think? Like,
I do have regrets,
okay.
right? So if I'm honest, it is not. I don't know whether it's a regret or I am a nostalgic person. So. When I look back and think about my son's the first steps and so on, probably I was too busy at work, right? So, but did I do wrong? Did I do right? From a career perspective, yes, probably I did the right thing. If I speak to my son, he feels proud that his mother is working and so on and so forth. So I did the right thing, perhaps. I created a right foundation for him, perhaps. But for me, for Jayashree, did I miss certain happy elements of life? Yes, I did. Right. So that is something which I do miss, and I keep thinking about those days. So I do have that. Plus, on my parental front, right? So I feel that's probably I could have spent a little more time with my parents. So that is speaking to them on the phone and so on and so forth. So those are the couple of things that I probably feel that I could have. I don't know whether I should call it regret because I did the right thing, I feel. But yes. Those are the moments of.
So, given an opportunity, because this is one of the most challenging questions of this podcast, which I have been asking you. So, now given that you have gone through this, and if there is a professional who's watching this podcast, what would you tell them? Spend the time with family and ignore career, or focus on career, ignore family, or balance both? And is there a concept of balancing also here, or just nothing?
I think it's all about taking the family
इसको
along.
बोलते हैं धर्म संकट.
Yeah, no, but then this can be managed by taking the family along as an ecosystem in your career journey, right? So for me, I have made my family part of my professional career. So my son is part of my professional career, is what I feel. My husband is part of my professional career. So everybody is part of, as I said, the board of directors, right? They are part of the board of directors. I am one of the board members who goes to the office premises, works, comes back. But we are the board of directors who have made the decisions, right? So when I look at it that way, everybody plays a role in my career journey. So and what happens is, by that, when I am finding it difficult, I have to travel when there is an important personal event happening and so on and so forth, and I have to travel for profession. These board of directors, my family board of directors, they say go for it, right? And they become my support system. and I am able to call upon my extended support system whenever I need help, like my parents or my in-laws and so on, to give me that kind of a support. So asking for help is what I realized is the mantra, and not feeling ashamed that one needs help, right? So the thing about women being a super power, a person with 15 hands is doesn't mean that you have to, yeah, you don't have to be that, right? You don't have to be that. You can use one hand to raise your hand asking for help and the other one to ask another person for help. So it is more of a superpower being adaptability. So I think that is our superpower. We are adaptable to different circumstances. So that's how I look at it.
It reminded me of the Robin Sharma's book Family Wisdom, where the board of directors and the huddles happen in the family. That's an amazing book. I was reading that.
I have not read it. I will read it.
It's a very, very good book on the. It talks a lot about the family and how it actually draws an analogy that how you work in a corporate, the family also can work like that. So you have huddles, how we do it in the company. Robin Sharma have kind of put that in that book as well. So it's
but the downside
thing,
is
yes.
Sometimes I do get to my son and I ask him, okay, what are your goals have you accomplished today? And he's like, oh, okay, what is it, right? So I get into that avatar sometimes unknowingly, which I have to be conscious about.
You also discuss about alternative investments, and we discussed about hedge funds also. So you have come across all these terms: hedge funds, private equity, alternative investment, mergers and acquisitions, and all this space. So for a student to get into this level, like you said, audit could be a good stepping stone for them to jump into all these profiles. But for a layman to understand, should they make a career in this? Do you think that this is something the student should look up to, because considering that there is enormous work pressure also in these areas, like we have seen there's a lot of stress around these profiles. So how did you navigate through those as well? Because we know, everyone knows, I mean, IB is not an easy profile to survive in. So how did you go across this?
So I think, yeah, to first question, yes, students should look at this as one of the areas that they can really explore. Not necessarily this is the only glamorous this thing. As far as IB is concerned, it has always been a glamour, has had a glamour quotient, right? But but I think that's a myth, because it is as interesting as you can make it in any other role, whether you're in finance, accounting, or any other role, right? Marketing and so on and so forth. It is about how you bring out the elements out of the role that you're performing. So that is what I first of all feel. So to your question, yes, the students should explore these roles. These are interesting areas that are evolving as far as India is concerned, and more companies are looking at talent in India to perform and operate on these roles. It did take a long time for the companies globally to look at talent in this area. So initially, about 20 years back, it was more of the basic low-end stuff that was really outsourced. But over the last 10 to 15 years, the talent here has shown that they can really perform independently all these roles with very minimal hand-holding, as long as the training is robust, right? The inherent corporate training that the companies provide is robust. So yes, there is a huge opportunity out there for to be tapped upon. Now, as far as the stress quotient is concerned, I don't think students should really worry so much about that, because these are the learning formative years. And personally, for myself, I think that since I put in a lot of hours, lot of effort in the formative years for myself, now I'm in a position to say that, okay, bring it on. I can really deliver any role, right? And I am now in this phase that I can really use flexibility to my leverage. And the reason being, I have really demonstrated to whichever company I have worked, that I'm in there as part of the game, right? So so I don't think the students should really worry too much about the stress quotient. Stress is how much you take. Even a 6 hours job can give you stress if you don't enjoy. So it is all about how you enjoy the work, right?
The misconceptions about investment banking, that investment banking is a very, very serious field. It has a lot of stress, work pressure, and all. I think everything can slow down provided you have the passion to kind of learn that. I think, Jayashree ma'am, you have pointed out a very interesting perspective on this. And a lot of them have also criticized that most of the jobs are back end. But you said that most of the jobs are now becoming front end. But there is a myth that most of the investment banking jobs which are coming in India, predominantly since last 10 to 12 years, basically the fund accounting and all. And do you think that it have the roles have evolved and they have shifted, or how is it like?
Definitely, roles have evolved and shifted. Now, let me take the example of my fixed income research example, right? That's an interesting one because, as I said, this is quite a few years ago. And when fixed income itself in India was nuanced. Even today, it's not taken off so much.
Good that actually I instead of you, I'll take just a second for people to understand, and I want your 1 minute on that as well. What is a hedge fund? What is a buy side? What is a sell side? What is a fixed income? What is a alternative funds? Would you want to kind of explain just in a one liners for our audience to know?
So when you're saying buy side, right? So buy side is where you have the assets, you have the money, you're using the money to purchase, right? Purchase companies and so on and so forth and profit therefrom. When you say sell side, you are actually not using your own money, but rather you're enabling it or facilitating others to use their money to buy or sell based on your advices that you give. So when I'm saying I'm doing buy side research, for instance, then I am actually doing research to enable my own company to use its own money to go buy assets. If I'm doing sell side research, I'm saying I'm doing research to sell my research to Sripal, who can use his humongous amount of wealth to go and buy stocks from the market, right? So that's the difference between buy and sell side. Now, hedge fund. What is hedge fund? Hedge fund. The word hedge means that you are really reducing the risk, right? So you have too much of risk, you're hedging your risk, that means you're reducing your risk. So several years ago when hedge funds were started, the whole idea was that when institutions or the people who had big money, they were investing in risky assets. They wanted to hedge their risk, and that is when they said, "Okay, a hedge fund manager, will you help hedge the risk by taking some contra bets and so on, so that my risk can be reduced." For example, they invest in foreign companies. Say, for example, an Indian institution is investing, say, in US company stocks, a list of US company stocks, and they feel that, oh my God, what will happen to the USD INR exchange rate? So they go to the hedge fund manager and say, reduce the risk, hedge my portfolio by taking a foreign exchange cover, right? But over a period of time, that changed. The hedge fund slowly evolved. The hedge funds
Hindenburg.
evolved. Hedge funds evolved from being a hedging vehicle to
To a
only
speculating
holding speculative instruments to a large extent, right? So they forgot that they have to hedge a portfolio and take the forex cover. Instead, they forgot about the portfolio and started taking only forex covers. To cover what? To cover nothing but just plain speculation. So they had a lot of these open risks that they would take. Like, for example, they would invest in a lot of junk bonds
And then
with
they
a
immediately
low
withdraw
rated.
also, right?
Yeah, and then they would sell. Very volatile, right? So very volatile. And the biggest thing about hedge funds was that they said that we will only take big monies. right? So they said that they would only ask investors to invest who are okay to invest huge amounts of money. One ticket size will be like millions of dollars, and and the lock-in period will be at least 3 years. And they cannot ask what is going on in the fund, because there will be no transparency about what's going on in the fund. They'll give very minimal information, because they would say that this is a secret strategy. It's a very highly it is very scientifically created portfolio, and so on and so forth. So we can't really reveal our trade secrets. So the biggest problems that the hedge fund investors would have typically with a hedge fund is lack of transparency. They have absolutely no clue what's going on in there. Plus, their lock-in period, 3 years, they are locked in. So even if the hedge fund is really making a big loss, they can't ask for money back. And the hedge funds clearly say that we are only looking for people who are high net worth individuals who don't mind losing their money.
So they can book losses.
They can book losses, right? So that is where this hedge fund
People
is
tend to
considered
invest
be
also, knowing all these principles. They
They
tend to
do
invest.
invest, right? So
That's a high risk.
that's a high risk.
And if it pays
And-
off, it pays off.
Oh, absolutely. It pays off, right? And if it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. And there were a lot of hedge fund scams which came up, like the Bernie Madoff scam and so on. So probably if students are interested, they should go through the Netflix series of Bernie Madoff, and it really shows how the Ponzi scheme and how he ran a hedge fund which really had these elements of lack of transparency and this big ticket amount being collected from different investors, and it went into a huge scam that burnt pockets of millions of people, right? So now with all that scams and the huge risk aura that the hedge funds carry, the institutions started to get a little worried, and especially after the Bernie Madoff scam and after the Lehman crisis and so on. So investors started withdrawing their money from hedge funds, saying that, oh, it's very risky and so on. That's exactly where we started InfraHedge. We started InfraHedge to say that, okay, we will partner with the hedge fund managers and the institutional investors, and we will be that independent middle layer of oversight on the hedge fund managers to see what they're doing on a daily basis, review their portfolios, and look at whether they're taking risky bets, what are the guardrails that they are following? Are they really making a lot of losses or profits? Where are the profits coming from, and so on? More like a watchdog, right? So we said we would do that, and that way we would give the comfort to the institutional investors as well. So it was a win-win story, because the hedge fund managers started to get more investors coming in because they had this trust element built in. And for the institutional investors, they also felt comfortable because they had this independent body sitting there. So that was our value proposition.
It is said that investment banking jobs are very volatile. So first 3-4 years you're there, but suddenly you can get fired. And also, how do you read these profiles for professionals who want to start their career in IBs? Because FS is a cyclical thing. So whenever there is a spending, the economy does well, something like that, the financial services vertical goes up, and suddenly it doesn't. So it all depends on the rate hikes and rate increases. So it's all dependent either on Fed or on RBI here in India. So how do you rate this profile, someone who wants to start in a career? So is this something where, is this something which is recession free? I don't think so. What do you think like?
See, I don't think we can go into any job with the thought process saying that would it really pay off? Would it stay after 3 years, 4 years, and so on and so forth, right? Financial services is here to stay. I mean, you need financial services at any point in time, right? So here it is the bloodline and so on and so forth, like we always learn in all our finance books. So here it is here to stay. Investment banking, here to stay, because again, it is the investment bankers who are really making a lot of things work in the financial industry, right? And not just in the financial services industry, they are really brokering deals for the entire ecosystem. So I don't think these roles are volatile from a perspective of hire to fire and so on. But at the same time, whatever role you take, whatever job you take, give it all your best. And I don't think there's much beyond that one can really read through in terms of cyclical movements and so on and so forth. But otherwise, finance is here to stay. So I don't think there is too much to worry.
So I think that is more comforting when investment banking leader talks like that. So I think the experience and the way you work also matters a lot. Then the economic downturns which can come down. So that's all part of the game. We spoke about buy side, sell side, hedge funds and all. Then there is a new concept of private equity also. So now what is a private equity?
So private equity is like it says, private, right? So you have listed equity like stocks that you invest in stocks, you buy, sell either through IPO or you'll go buy the stocks from the secondary market like on the exchange, like Infosys, TCS and so on and so forth. Or private equity. Now, private equity are the ones which are not listed on the exchange. So you have these small startups or companies which have decided, the founders have decided that they don't want to raise capital from the public. So they are private, they're self-funded. So they have raised either money through their own personal wealth, or they have gone to banks and said, okay, give me a loan, and they have funded their whole business through a loan, or through venture capitalists whom they have gone specifically on a private basis, one-to-one basis, and said, okay, can you fund our business, right? So now the shareholders' equity that you have on those companies, they are privately held by just the founders, or it is held by just the venture capitalist or venture capital firm, or the select few investors, right? So it's privately held. It's not held with public like you and me. So that's all that private equity is all about. Now, how do we get access to private equity? Now, tomorrow, if we want to invest in private equity, how do we invest in it, right? Because if we are saying on one hand that the founders don't want to divest their share and stake, and they don't want to raise capital from the public like you and me, then how will you and me get a share of their business? So that is where the private equity funds come into picture. Now, these private equity funds are usually like, for example, these venture capitalists and other private equity firms, they invest in their money in some of these private companies. So the private companies, when they are raising money from these small private set of individuals, including private equity firms, the private equity firms invest a little bit in a company A, a little bit in company B, and so on and so forth. Then they create a fund which has the underlying components being A, Company B, and so on and so forth. You and I, as investors, retail investors, we can get access to the private equity fund. So we give money to the private equity fund itself and get units of the private equity fund itself. So we don't have direct exposure to company A and B, right, which still remains private, but we have investments in the above fund. So that is exactly how the private equity fund works. Now, when the company pays dividend, it pays dividend to the private equity firm because they are the shareholder. The private equity firm will collect it and give it to us, right? Because we have invested on the fund. So that's exactly how we earn out of the profits of the underlying components of the private equity fund. So that's broadly what.
So is the fund of funds and private equity funds are one and the same, or it's completely different?
It's different. Private equity fund, as I said, is a fund that invests in private equity companies or private companies. Whereas a fund of fund is a fund which invests in many other funds. So that is a fund of many funds. So it is like a father fund having a lot of children funds that they invest in. So you can think
So
about
can
it that
Lehman
way.
Brothers be classified as fund of funds, or how is it like?
No, Lehman Brothers is a separate investment bank. That's it. They are not a fund of fund.
So what would you call as an example of fund of funds?
Um, a fund of fund, we do have we do have funds, which there are a lot of funds which invest in small funds. Like for example, you have I'm not able to get any example in the Indian markets, Indian context as of now. But if I take an hedge fund as an example, right, random a hedge fund, hypothetically, a hedge fund could also say that, okay, my strategy is to look at other small funds, right, and I will see how to invest in, say, for example, a real estate fund. In which in turn invests in a lot of real estate properties in Russia, China, and everything, right? So a hedge fund is a big fund. It could invest in a sub fund, and the sub fund has further components that it is investing. So basically, it is a structure, complicated structure. It is a fund of many funds, and each of these funds have separate investments underneath it. Right, so that's exactly how you can look at it.
So for a professional to have such kind of, I would say, a very strong understanding of the markets, what do you recommend, Jayashree? So should they start with watching the TV news like CNBC or something, or start reading the Economic Times, or how do you keep them interested in this entire nomenclatures what we have discussed? As you have seen, it's very technical, and there is not much knowledge in India also about debt instruments like we have for stock markets, but we do not have that kind of hold on the debt instruments. So how do you kind of what is that one thing which you would want to tell the professionals?
I think you said it already, Shripal. That's exactly what I would ask everybody to do, right? Go through moneycontrol.com. Simple, very simplistically laid out, and a very user-friendly web portal. Go through that. Look at Economic Times, of course. You have Live Mint, which is also a very interesting newspaper, which has a lot of opinion articles and so on and so forth. I personally like it as well. Go through those. For mutual funds, go through valueresearch.com. So you can go through that. You have a lot of these mutual funds which are listed out there, and then you will have a lot of elements, statistics, which are also tabulated very beautifully in one place. So you get to understand what does a institutional investor or seasoned investor look at when they are making investment decisions in a mutual fund. It is a total expense ratio, it is a risk, it is a return, and so on. So you get to have a perspective in terms of what are the elements that I need to look at. Similarly, who is the fund manager, what is the pedigree of the fund manager, and so on and so forth. So it gives you a lot of information, which just gives you a perspective in terms of how do I analyze, right? And how do I look at investment decision making industry as a whole?
So having spoken about the different things and all, and the experiences which you have got, the most important skill is the leadership. Now that you're heading so many people and being the managing director itself, so what is that, how is that experience? And because you are at that designation where you're leading so many teams now, so what is that thing which actually motivate you the most, and how do you ensure that your team is also motivated?
My biggest motivation right now and at the phase of life that I am in is to pay forward, right? And for me, that is the biggest driver for me on a day-to-day basis. So when I say pay forward, I want to see how the experiences that I have gained thus far can enable people to flourish in their respective careers and in whatever they are doing, right? So to create that impact for the individuals is for me the biggest biggest oomph factor each day that I come to work. Now, as far as my team is concerned, the way I motivate my team is to keep reminding them that they are the CEO of their own brand. And that's how I believe of myself. I think I'm the CEO of my own brand. I'm the CEO of Jayashree and Co. So I keep telling individuals that you are the CEO of your own brand. So think about yourself as an entrepreneur who is coming to work every day to showcase your own personal brand at work. So be the best version of yourself. When you're making any decisions at work, think about how your clients, which could be your employer is your client, your ecosystem, your peer group is your client, your subordinates are your clients because they're all availing your services, right? How you're going to be the best version to deliver those services to them, right? And while doing that, you would automatically progress yourself on a day basis. So that's exactly how I motivate them. And when I push them to be an entrepreneur, they automatically come up with lot of ideas, lot of innovative thought process, which is exactly what I want, right? Because when I come each day to work, it is not about my ideas, it is about their ideas, which helps the business flourish. So that's how the ecosystem works.
Because we discuss about a lot of profiles of financial modeling, valuations, M&As, and private equity and all, what are the skill sets students should incorporate to get into this, and which qualification would you recommend them?
From a skill set perspective, I think the most important skill set is curiosity. So I think it's an inherent skill that one has to keep honing for all of these profiles, right? Um, keep asking the questions when you don't understand the big picture. Keep trying to understand when if the students, if you're talking about students, look at again, go through all the news articles, try to understand why, and keep asking those, drilling into those questions until you understand the answers. Keep connecting the dots in terms of, oh, Sripal sir taught me this, right, in the class, and how do I connect that with what's happening in the market, what's happening in this news? Try to connect the two,
The theory and the practical
theory
connection.
and practice. Those things will automatically make you learn the art of questioning, and that will help you hone the curiosity skill set, right? So I think that's first and foremost, which is important. The second important skill set, of course, technology, right? Now today there is no skill which is devoid of technology know-how. So one cannot say that I don't know technology, I'm comfortable, I'm a finance expert, and so on. So it is all about doing the tech-fin or fintech play well enough, right? So understand how tech works, have the basic tech skills, Excel, and so on and so forth is a given, right? There is absolutely no ways that you can say, I don't know advanced Excel and so on. So that is a basic. Of course, AI and everything will automatically get embedded as one embarks into the corporate life. So that's another thing that I would look at. And important is social skills, right? I think when I say social skills, I'm not saying go party hard and keep enjoying and so on and so forth, which I'm sure all the students are already doing. But it's more about having that connect, right? Feeling comfortable to speak to individuals, feeling comfortable to go out there and have those face-to-face conversation. I think the reason why I'm stressing on this is because post-COVID, people are comfortable to get into remote work environment, and more I see students especially looking at filtering profiles to see, oh, this is a total work from home profile, it's better, right? All remote, oh, it's better than a 5-day working week, and so on and so forth. So I don't think that is a criteria that one should ever look at while selecting jobs. Now, as far as the courses you mentioned, right? For the specific investment banking roles that we just spoke about, I think the best course is out there is CFA, which helps you get that kind of a portfolio management perspective, understanding of different asset classes, and the interplay between the different asset classes, and gives you also different perspectives in terms of how to analyze portfolios, right? It has a flavor of equity, it has a flavor of economics, of financial statements, and everything into the whole curriculum. So I think that's a very good curriculum. Now, we also, if one doesn't want to do that whole big 3-year course of CFA, they do have modularized pathways as well. So they have specific pathways only for private equity certification. They have a separate pathway only for ESG certification. So one need not do the 3-year course. One can just do ESG certification. And that's also well known in the industry, right? And one can do just private equity if they want. Now, if one does not want to do this, right? An alternative course which is available is Alternative Investment Institute, CAIA. So that is also for the alternative investments. I would recommend that one that is so niche and so specialized that it is best that an individual gets into a role, starts looking at that role, see if that person is interested in alternative space before embarking on such a specialized niche curriculum, right? And spending a lot of money in getting into those curriculums. So that's broadly what I would say. And of course, CPA, right? CPA is like CPA, that gives you a foundation, right? Accounting foundation. Now, those courses are gems, I would say. The reason why I say gems is because when you look at any of these professions, they are looking at how to analyze the financial statements. So understanding the financial statements, understanding the accounting, bare accounting, becomes the foundational step to build upon any of these profiles. So I think anybody who is doing a CPA, who is doing a CA, is anyway going to have an automatic edge in all these profiles.
And you are a classical example, right? You did a chartered accountancy, you went into audit and then switched over. Yes. Because audit is an experience which is normally considered in other profiles as well. Correct. Right. So you spoke about tech skills, and directly my narration or the narrative will shift to AI. Yeah. Now, how is AI impacting the investment banking divisions, and is State Street also adopting AI in everywhere, or how is it like? So will it take away a lot of investment banking jobs as well?
No, it will not. It will only reshape the jobs, right? It's not going to replace, it's going to reshape. It is going to help us eliminate, or rather delegate to the agents, AI agents, and so on, any kind of repetitive stuff which we don't have to spend time on as humans, right? Our brains are meant to be creative. Our brains are meant to be analytical. So we can really work on those, all right? So just like earlier we used to go to the grocery shops to buy things, aloo, sabji and everything. Now if you just do a Blinkit, you get it in 10 minutes, right? Or big basket in 10 minutes. How do I use my time then? I get the time freed up, that 1 hour freed up, to do better things, all right? So the same way with AI, the repetitive things or easily delegatable things we delegate off, and automatically the profile of individuals gets advanced to doing more creative, more thought-provoking, thought leadership, decision-making profiles, and so on and so forth, which is really good. I would say it is a big progress for humans to be human.
So I think AI is making you feel more analytical in that way, actually. So I think that's what we are discussing about investment banking. So it will not automate any of the things or remove the jobs. I mean, it will automate to certain extent, but you'll not see a job reduction, is what you mentioned, right?
You will see a job a profile enhancement.
Enhancement or reshaping of
You
the
will
profiles.
unleash your human potential, human
Yes.
brain power.
So we discussed about audit. I mean, you spoke about assurance. Then you went on to M&A and discussed about different things on M&A. Now, given how do you see the student navigating their careers? Because there are so many professionals today who want to get into M&A, but they have some fancy ideas about mergers and acquisitions, is this and that. So, what is a profile all about actually? And the people who are from audit, can they move into M&A like you did? And how did you make that switch?
That's an interesting question, right? And I think it's not just for the students, not for the just for the freshers, but I think it's a question that at each stage we ask ourselves, right? What I have learned all through my experience is that when I'm looking at career switches, right? When I have looked at career switches, I've never looked at career switches as a switch, not as moving from one track to another track, but rather a continuity, right? So, how do I see that is because I have built my profile as a story for myself. So, when I moved from Pricewaterhouse to City, I said there are transferable skills. I am not moving to a new domain afresh. I said, what are the skills that I'm bringing to the table? And the skills that I bring to the table for M&A profile was that I have already seen done intense audits for financial companies, not just financial companies, for different companies, different sectors, right? For manufacturing companies, financial companies, and so on and so forth. So when I did audit, I have actually understood the entire internal controls of the companies, their financials, how their financials are, what are the risks that the company has, what is the competition, what is the market that they are dealing with, and so on and so forth, right? So I've done all that analysis and I have built my expertise on it. If I have built my expertise on it, going to M&A, what is M&A all about? It is all about saying if there is a company that wants to acquire another company, the team, the consulting, or in my case, it was City, would come and help in doing the assessment of who are the companies who are out there, right? Who could be target companies, could be to be acquired, which would be a strategic fit, and what is the price at which they should buy the company, and what will be the payoff, and how many years the ROI would be generated over, and so on and so forth. Now, can I not do this using my audit experience? Of course I can. Why I can? Because I know how to analyze companies. I know how to assess the risks associated with the companies. I know how to understand the business of companies, right? And that's exactly what I said I would carry from this profile onto the M&A profile. And that's exactly what I did. So I think my only advice to the students is whenever you're applying for any role, think about what if you're already working, right? What are the skills that you can showcase as transferable skills, which are applicable to that particular job that you are really applying for. M&A being one of them.
And then from M&A, you moved into the same profile, or how was it?
From M&A, I moved to fixed income research. Now, have I done fixed income research? No, I have not done fixed income research, right? So, can I do fixed income research? Of course, I can. And why can I? Because I know, again, how to analyze companies. In the M&A profile, I had actually looked at the balance sheet of companies. I've looked at debt coverage ratio, how to raise debt as part of financing, how to raise equity as part of financing, how to look at insurance companies, capital adequacy ratios, and so on, and how to assess and analyze companies, right? To see what is their financial health, what is their market standing, and so on and so forth. If I have done all that, in case of fixed income research, I have to do similar things. I have to wear the same lens, look at companies to say, yes, are these companies good? Are they doing well? What is the financial health of this company? Are the business prospects of these companies good? And if yes, then how are the bonds for these companies trading? Are they worth investing in? And what is the bond valuation? Is it looking attractive to buy, sell, so on and so forth? So it is all about taking the skills that you have built and trying to build upon that further to apply for the next role.
So, guys, when we discussed about, like you have seen from audit, we have moved on to mergers and acquisition. From M&A, we moved on to fixed income securities. So, these are very, very cream profiles, right? And then we went on to, I think, to investment banking also. So, you have tremendous amount of experience in investment banking as well. Yes. So, would you want to throw some light on IB as well, like what you have done in the investment research as well?
So, yeah, for fixed income research, as I said this, right, it is all about, and then after fixed income research, I started on the alternative space, right? And again, have I done alternatives? No, I have not done alternatives. Can I do alternatives? Of course, I can do alternatives. Why? Because I know how to read markets now, because I have looked at the equity space as far as mergers and acquisitions work was concerned, and audit as well. Now, I have also looked at the fixed income bonds, right, as part of fixed income research. So, which means the equities and fixed income typically are called the traditional asset classes. I've covered these traditional asset classes. So, now, if I know the game of traditional asset classes, why not extend it further to analyze and evaluate alternative asset classes? So it is more of an extension of saying, I have done this, now it is just a plus plus.
So, for the people who are new to this, what do you mean by alternative asset classes?
Yeah, so when I say alternative asset classes, anything which is not traditional routes. When we say traditional, it is a traditional ways of investing, which is fixed deposit, or bank fixed deposits, or it could be equity share in the share markets, stock markets. You buy stocks, sell stocks, the listed stocks, and of course the listed bonds. So these are all in the secondary market that you buy, sell, or in the primary market through IPOs, you buy stocks and so on. So those are the traditional asset classes because they were the ones which was invested in. When we talk about alternative, we are saying that, okay, traditional, but what is that extra money that I can really, returns that I can really earn? So to get that extra return, you have to put in a little, understand that we have to take in a little more extra risk as well, right? So that is where the alternatives come into place. Alternative to traditional. So the alternatives are essentially the ones which are unlisted securities like private assets, private markets, or private debt as well, or it could be real estate, art. Art is also paintings and so on. Those all come also as part of alternatives. Yeah. So those are typically the alternative hedge funds.
Okay.
So Sripal, you've asked me enough questions. Now it's my turn to ask you questions. Okay. So I have a few here. So you've asked me a lot about mentorship, leadership, but you're the one who has built Simandhar Education. You're training a lot of students. So what exactly motivated you to start this journey?
I think students' pain. So this comes naturally to me. If they are struggling, this is something I really loved it, that I wanted to solve the problem what they're suffering from. So whenever I kind of see them struggling, I am the first one who kind of pitch in there and try to solve that. And this comes naturally to me. So whenever they ping me, and there are a lot of students who tell me like, sir, you are in that position also, you reply personally also a lot of times. Because that is something I just can't ignore and just see here and there. So this is something which motivates me a lot. And I've been an academician throughout my career. Even in my intermediate, I used to teach the bunkers. They used to come in my home and I used to teach them at late night. Then I was a paper examiner. I was an examiner at Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I've also set the question papers at national level for chartered accountancy. So
That is when it was very tough, I guess.
Yeah, so academics is something which comes naturally to me, and I think that's what that made me become a good teacher, because that helps me even to understand how they think. So if I see their answers and all, when I correct their correct their answer sheets, I actually analyze what they think, how they think, and that makes me a good teacher when I teach. So that kind of helped me a lot to become a good teacher, I would say.
Excellent. You also often say that education must bridge to industry. So, how do you see Simandhar bridging that gap in over the next 10 years?
So what we are doing, Jayashree, is we are bringing practical US tax course, which we have already done. So our students are not just sticking to only the theoretical stuff which is taught in the textbooks. So now we are teaching them the software also, how to file the US tax returns and all. Few of our alumni have opened their own firm as well, and they have hired almost 75 to 80 people. I just went to the opening of one of our female alumni, Virti, and she was also part of one of our panel in Hyderabad, Karina. So these are the people. So we want to see more entrepreneurs in Simandhar, and that's why we are teaching them all practical skills also along with theoretical skills. So teaching them software, how to file the tax returns and all those stuff, making them more confident and presentable with personal brand and communication skills. These are some of the things which we are focusing a lot on.
Excellent. I did see a lot of your post on few students who have started on their own, right? That's really, really impressive. Sripal, students know you as Digital Sripal, the AI mentor. So how did that idea come about?
So like I said, whenever I used to see them struggling and all, there was a person in me who answers everything instantly. So I am like that. Even when I'm working at Simandhar, a lot of the people, they see the responses on the emails, they come in quick seconds. And I feel that people who are speedier, who are faster in responses always are successful, and a lot of people follow them. But the moment you ask question and you get instant answers, that becomes like, that is what you want in life. You get instant answers. And that's what we did it when a lot of students used to post in study groups. They used to get answers like in 3 hours, 4 hours, sometimes 12 hours. And sometimes the faculties are not available in late nights. So we developed something called as Digital Sripal, which is an AI chatbot. It has passed CPA, CFA, SSCA, CIA, E exams with 95% accuracy. And it's a WhatsApp AI bot, because all the people are on WhatsApp. The moment they will put question, they'll get answers instantly. It's very different from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is a generic AI, and this is a trained AI. So we train.
So you train it each time the curriculum changes. You
Yes,
keep changing
we
it.
keep
You're
on
training
updating the answers. We have a lot of our faculties who keep talking to the AI. No, this is not right. This is right. We keep training it and all, and now it has passed the exam with 95%. So it's as good as Sripal passing the exam and teaching it. So the bot is answering a lot of the questions accurately. 95% accuracy, 100% accuracy, AI cannot do it. We try to aim for it, but we cannot do it. But still, I am like, we are really proud that we have 95% accuracy. So what that makes is, the moment they put question, they can get the answers instantly.
it. And this is available to all your students.
Yes.
Excellent. If you have to give one piece of advice to your students who are confused about their career choices, what would it be?
I think the first thing is they need to understand what they are passionate about. Like you were very passionate about numbers and you were very influenced by your father. I think there has to be some sort of inspiration, some sort of guidance or mentoring. If you cannot get that guidance or mentoring, it's important to understand where your passion is and what you love the most. If you figure out that and if you enjoy that, I think that is where you need to make your career in. And how do I know that this is something which I'm passionate about? The time will pass away. When you do that work, you'll never notice the time. So if you don't notice the time, that means you're really passionate about, and that is what you need to make your career in that.
Oh, well said. Excellent. Okay, that's all I had, Sripal. You passed this exam also with 100% marks.
Thank you so much. Amazing. So we move from the emotional side of our podcast to a funny side of our podcast. And we have a very, very interesting rapid fire with you. So I hope we can, with all your permission.
I hope it's easy.
So one book that changed your perspective.
Okay, this book called The Midnight Library
Okay, The Midnight Library.
by Matt Haig.
What does it talk about?
It's a very interesting book because what it does is the protagonist, she's very fed up with the way she lives and all the things that are happening to her. So the book unravels as her experiencing different life possibilities. So each chapter of the book is a different life possibility. She says, "Oh, I wish I was a singer." So she is a singer in the next chapter.
But how did it change your perspective?
So it goes through each possibility, and at the end, she realizes that all the life possibilities has its own pros and cons. So finally, the grass is not really greener always on the other side. So whatever grass you have, you better mow it well and water it well. That's it, right? So that's the perspective.
Coffee or tea?
I'm a tea person.
As I was expecting this because Poonam, my wife, is also that. Morning person or night owl?
I'm a reluctant morning person and excited, enthusiastic night owl.
And we were very proud that she also got featured, folks, in our 4am classes which I take. And I think ma'am was there to motivate a lot of the students and all. And thank you so much for being part of that 4am classes. So we have the morning revision classes, folks. So I'm not advertising anything in this podcast, but please do kind of attend such classes also. It will really help you. Okay, so back to our podcast. If not finance, what career would you have chosen?
Crime detective. I love to investigate crime.
Okay, and why do you want to
I'll
do
be
that?
good at it.
So why do you love that? So do you watch all those?
I love murder mysteries and I love to solve them.
Okay, and that's why I think you have that problem solving skill. So you have gone into investment banking. I think I can tell my students to kind of focus on that as well. Okay, a mentor who shaped your journey.
Yeah, I've had many mentors along. There's not one that I should name, but one particular person who shaped my journey was
Your husband.
no, my husband's boss, right? And he became my boss later on. His name is Ravi, and he did challenge me and push my boundaries to a large extent, right? And which shaped my journey further.
Audit or M&A?
Neither of them. I met him at Infosys, but after that, the startup and everything was him. It was not just that, right? He pushed me to say, like, for example, he pushed me to do a course for on derivatives in Sri Lanka. He said, go to Sri Lanka and do a course for the seasoned bankers in Sri Lanka, central bank employees. And I was like, okay, can I? And he said, of course you can do it. You're an expert in that. So he did challenge me each time, and that really helped me shape my life.
So guys are the best or the girls are the best? Sorry, this is not the question.
Thank God.
Okay.
Controversial.
Okay, thank you so much. That kind of ends our rapid fire. So we have a small gift for you.
Is
So
it a
this
signed
book.
copy?
Yes, this is a book, The Classroom. The Unique Classroom, which is written by me, covering 13 inspiring stories of our students. So these are the people. There were a lot of people who were like, one of them was a Zomato delivery boy. He did our USCMA course. We placed him in Infosys, got the Best Debutant Award. Now he's doing IIM MBA. And then there was a 52-year-old woman who passed CPA, got placed at Oramus. Then there were a lot of pregnant women who did CPA who passed in the 9th month of pregnancy. So there are a lot of inspiring stories which I have written actually. I would not say hamper, it's a book for answering so beautifully. And yeah, so this is a book which covers the 13 inspiring stories written by me. Some of the students, one of them was a Zomato delivery boy. He passed USCMA through us. We placed him in Infosys. Now he's working. He worked with Infosys as a Best Debutant Award. After 2-3 years, he went on to do, now currently doing an IIM. He's doing an MBA from IIM actually. And then we have a 52-year-old woman who passed CPA and we placed her in Ormus. Then we had females who are in 9th month of pregnancy did CPA and passed the exam with 98, 97 scores. So CPA doesn't have above 99. 99 is the highest score in CPA. So these are some of the inspiring stories which we have covered. I hope the book kind of helps to get to know about some inspiring students from Simandhar Education.
Hey, this is excellent. Congratulations, Sripal. I will definitely go through this and I will share it with my family, my board of directors, as well as my colleagues.
Thank you so much.
So I'm proud of you. And also importantly, I'm very proud of the way that you conduct your 4 a.m. classes. I have also told you this before. I feel it's one of its kind, and it shows the passion that you have in delivering what you do.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for that.
To our learners, this was Brains Behind Billions podcast powered by Simandhar Education. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Until next time, I am Sripal Jain. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your story. Thank you so much.